Hi, Heather from Ad Design here. I'm here with a very good friend of mine and longtime supplier, Dennis King from DENMAR Displays, who specializes in trade show displays and systems. We're here to answer common questions regarding trade show systems and increase your trade show presence. So Dennis, welcome to a little quick impromptu conversation. I, as a designer, have used you for many years and been able to see a lot of my displays come to fruition through our partnership. So probably one of the biggest questions that you always get is obviously price and quality. So let's just take a quick moment and talk about the difference in price and quality on some of the trade shows.
Well, we've always heard many people say that, you know, price is something that affects their budget, and that's reality. But I always say to people, I don't want to be the cheapest company in town, and there's a reason for that, because when you buy something from DENMAR Displays, we want you to be happy. And yes, we can get you the very cheapest out there, but reality is you're going to come back through my door in a few weeks, maybe less, and say,
or through my door.
I'm not happy. So we certainly do encourage you to look at products that are at least mid-range. And of course we go to the high end as well, but mid-range covers a lot, and you can get a very good display for an excellent price without having to be concerned about you know, what the quality is going to be. Of course, in the pop-up industry, you can get frames now with plastic clips. Then they come with magnetic clips, and then they come with a hook clip. The hook clip is like almost like hooking your two fingers into each other, and that's the type of aluminum connector that it has, and that allows you to have the strongest frame that we know in the industry, and we sell that one here. But if you want to look at the option of pricing versus quality, again, it's always important to feel and touch it in the showroom. Now, we get many people that go on to eBay and many other places and check out places, and they buy a product. And it's funny because I had a lady come to us not that long ago, and she bought a banner stand off of eBay and wanted me to print a banner for her. And when I opened up the package, literally there was only 2 pieces in there for the pole, and she needed 3 pieces for the pole.
Oh, no.
So we couldn't even use the banner stand. So, but we worked a deal with her, and she was happy from there. But just to go to show that you can certainly sometimes go out online and bring something in yourself, and you won't be happy with it. But for the most cases, we encourage people to come to the showroom, see our products, and then you know what you're getting for the price you're paying.
Things I think that makes us work the best is because we've both been in the industry for so long. We've seen these changes, and we know really well our own products and how it'll affect the consumer in the end. But there's so many better units at less expensive costs these days that you shouldn't have to sacrifice quality for price anymore.
No.
Unless you're doing something like a custom display.
Even in custom exhibits today, you also now, most people are going to fabrics. Now again, there are different fabrics out there as well. But if you want a good quality display with a good fabric that's going to last you some years, because that's the nice thing with fabric. If you get a good fabric, and the way the industry has gone with printing on different styles and types of fabric, there is good quality fabrics out there that will allow you to have it for 5, 7, 10 years. And so that's what we encourage. I'll give you a quick example of the fabric that, believe it or not, this wall, this exhibit here is made from a fabric. And
yeah, it looks like it's hard.
It looks like a hardboard.
Yeah.
And I've had many people walk in to the showroom, and of course they're looking for something different, and I show them this, and they say, wow, we would never have thought this to be fabric.
The designer, when I first got into this industry, lining up panels and had the stretch of the material, particularly for magnetics, they were very difficult, and you had to place where the break was. Now, today, with the way the computers are and the way technology has changed, the way we print on the bigger printers, etc. We're now able just to not even really worry so much about how things are placed. Now, when you're seamlessly printing, you don't have to worry about that.
That's right. No, that is amazing because it makes your job easier.
It does.
And it also makes our job easier because once we start to print, back in the older days, before fabric, of course, you had to have 3 separate or 4 separate panels on a 10-foot pop-up display. Mm-hmm. Now today, because we do it in fabric and it's seamless, you can place things and you ain't got to worry about cutting through a letter, and then we have to match that letter up. You know, like text is very important on a display, and that's where it shows the most, is when you have a cut line through text. And today with the seamless fabric, we don't have to worry about that anymore. So
no,
it makes
pretty much all we
easy.
need to really worry about now is placement of all the extras that you can get on a trade show booth, you know,
Right.
like, so, you know, extras of where you're putting your counter, for instance, or where you're putting your TV, or like some sort of display unit, maybe shelving or something like that. That's the only part that I ever need to worry about how it's set up now, because absolutely, this whole printing industry has changed so much over the years.
Yeah, it has, and again, in the last few years especially, more and more people are going to video and things like that, and therefore a TV screen now in your exhibit is very important. And as a matter of fact, they've come out now with, not only in this system, but even in our pop-up displays, you can now work it to do some TV mounting, especially in our tube and frame systems that we carry. That is another way that you can mount TVs and look seamless in the exhibit. And then as a designer, you only got to find a spot in that design to allow for the size of the monitor that they're using. Yep. And you're off.
Although I do a lot of designs for PowerPoint presentations to be in video loops too. So
yes, exactly.
I still have to worry about that end of it, but not so much about my graphics.
That's right.
So what are some other common questions that you come across that on your daily routine of what people are looking for in a trade show?
Most people today, I find, you want something that's going to enhance the look of your exhibit so that you can feel good going into that show and feel a part of the competition that may be there. And of course, there are many people today that are heading towards fabric, and that's the way the industry has turned in the past 20 years.
You know, before, when we were doing lighting, there was always the question as to, am I going to be seen? Because once you have all those bright lights in a trade show, it always seems like I'm going to get dulled down. What's the point of me buying lights? People didn't want to spend the money for the lights because of that. But now, I mean, I've seen your new backlit, and it's so bright that whether the lights are on or off, it doesn't make any difference. It pops.
Backlit fabric now is really taking over. Not only in the pop-up displays, but even in the custom exhibits. People are now trying to find creative ways to do a custom exhibit and backlight it. And there's ways to do it now. Right. So with that being the next, I think, launch in the industry is seeing a backlit display. I said to someone the other day, give it another 5 years in the trade show industry, and you're going to see a lot of lit up aisles down the trade show floors. Yeah. People start with a banner stand. That's. I mean, if you're just new in the industry, you're coming in and you're starting a new business, and you want to find a way to get into a trade show.
Absolutely.
Come in with a nice banner stand. Yeah. And
or even I've been to a lot of trade shows, and I've seen just a wall of banner stands, which can be very effective if designed appropriately.
That's right. One thing I do encourage people, if you're starting off with a back wall and you're doing, let's say, 3 displays, 3 banner stands, try to go with the full base rather than a smaller base with the foot that sticks out the front.
Right.
And you want to have a consistency in your wall and keep them as close together as possible and seamless as possible, then go with a banner stand that's got a good 8 or 10 inch base to it, and you'll find that it works better. And there are some things to look at when it comes to the pop-up display versus the tube frame display, for an example. And when I say to people, keep in mind, in most cases with the pop-up displays, you can have a 2 inch Velcro that's sewn to the back of the pop-up displays, because it needs to
Mm-hmm.
be there to hold it to the
Hold it
frame.
to the front.
And that can sometimes take away from the overall look of it, whereas if you're going with a tube frame, the tube frame allows it to be completely seamless, so that when you put the frame, or the fabric rather, down over the frame and you zip it at the bottom to tighten it and give it that
It
seamless,
kind of tucks underneath.
tighter look, and therefore you don't see any sewing at all on that display, whether it be 8 foot, 10 foot, and we've sold them 20 feet wide now, seamless, in a tube frame.
Yeah.
But that's something to consider as well.
And absolutely, configuration is a big thing. I know when I'm designing things, they're often, that's one of the things I often ask is what's the configuration of your booth, and actually not only what's the size, but you know, you have your concave and your concurves and all these different formulations now. That absolutely plays a role when I'm designing, but it certainly plays a role when what kind of booth you actually end up. And then just as a quick last point, one of the other reasons why I come to you is because you also are keeping so up on the different technologies in the industry, such as the lights. But I noticed this new counter that actually has plugs here
Yes.
for USB and charging. I mean, I think that's awesome. I think it's about time that they came out with something like that.
It's funny because the counter that they came out with here, and of course there's many different counters, as you can see online and on our website too, but this one, they designed it so that you could be in your booth, charge your phone, use it for your laptop and whatever else you may have need of. But the good thing about it is it's right at your fingertips, and you ain't gotta walk around and try to find someone to plug in your phone if it goes
Right.
blank on you.
Well, and where I've seen it, the technology come into play when I'm at trade shows is that a lot of companies now have tablets where you're actually connecting and entering information for you to get further information on their products and
Yeah.
services. So it's really right there at your fingertips, easy to access, as you said, and low profile, so you could still have other things on the table without interfering
Yes.
with it. So I think that's great. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I appreciate the time spending with me today, and I hope our viewers have picked up some interesting information. And
Yes.
I'll put in a link of Dennis's website for DENMARDisplays.com, as well as my own at designo2.ca. And feel free to connect with either of us for further information.
Wonderful. Thank you.